Yo, what's
Cool.
going on, Rise fam? We're back once again with On the Rise, and we're so happy to be here. It's me, your boy Jake, your girl Ashley, and we are actually introducing a new artist that we want you to get to know. His name is Justin Gambino, and his music is actually really good. It's really chill. It's really inspirational. It's positive music, something that we always keep trying to bring out to you guys, and we're so happy to introduce you to him. How you doing today, Justin?
I'm good, man. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem, brother. And we're glad to have you here, my man. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick this off. I was enjoying some of the music, man. It is always nice to hear something positive and something creative. And then, of course, on top of that, it's also good. You got a lot of talent. I love your voice, love the way that you sound and everything. So it's always a pleasure to have someone like you. Tell the audience more about you, like where you come from, when you got started, when you decided that music was going to be the type of thing that you was going to pursue on a serious matter.
Yeah, man. So I didn't actually start taking music seriously until 2010. That's whenever I first stepped foot into a music studio, not professionally at all. It was just kind of one of those things where, um, a friend of mine from work invited me to into a music studio, and but if I back up a little bit more, music is like deeply rooted in the Gambino family. So like my dad was in a band back in the 70s. Even before that, my grandfather, his dad was a maestro. The guy could play anything with strings, and he conducted the Dallas Symphony. My mom plays piano. Man, just like so much musical blood in my family. And so I knew that my grandfather was a musician growing up. I knew that my dad was a musician growing up. And my mom would tell you whenever they would take me to church on Sunday mornings, my mom would tell you that I would show up every Sunday morning with my Bible and I would strum it like a guitar, like an air guitar. And I'm like 5 years old. And so I don't remember that, but that's the story that they tell me. And they tried put me in piano lessons at the age of 9, but it didn't take. I hated the piano. No offense to the piano players out there, but I did not like the piano. And it was about 6 years later that I picked up the guitar for the first time. And it was like all done then, like I was just picking up the guitar like every moment that I could. I'd make my fingers bleed. I was playing the guitar so much. And that was 15 years old. And then, but yeah, like I said, it wasn't until maybe 7 or 8 years after that, where I took a different route in life, started getting into trouble as a teenager, and joined the military to avoid some jail time. That's part of my story, and and yeah, it wasn't until I got back from overseas, served in the Navy for a little bit, came back from overseas, and really started. That's when I got invited to go into a music studio, and that was like, man, whenever that producer was like, "Here you go, man. Here's what you recorded." It was like a little CD with my name on it. Justin. It said Justin song, and so that was just like I'll never forget that moment. And that was November of 2010. That was on a Wednesday night.
Awesome. I
Isn't that
like
crazy?
it, bro. Nah, that is awesome. That's actually some good stuff right there. That's very interesting, especially having that musical background from the family, man. That always helps because they're there to support and they actually know what you like doing. And you ain't got to worry about all that extra slack, from everybody telling you you're crazy or something like that. But I like that, dude. That's great
Well,
stuff.
that still happens every so often. People are like, "You really just quit your job? Like, why'd you do that?" You know. But I after getting out of the Navy and I was working at Napa Auto Parts, so I was like managing. I was a general manager of a Napa Auto Parts, and I remember sitting down with the owner, and I was like, yeah, I think it's time for me to hang this up because I know that I do not want to sell auto parts or manage a location like this, like for the rest of my life. Like I don't see myself retiring from that. But no offense to them, but like I knew that that was not what I was supposed to do with the rest of my life. That wasn't going to bring. That's not what I was passionate about. That's not going to bring me joy and fulfillment. And and so yeah, man. It's kind of crazy. 2015. It was June of 2015 when I quit my job, and and yeah, got out of the Navy in 2013. quit my job in 2015. So I've been a full-time musician for the this June will be 9 years.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, man. I love that. All right, what you got, Jake?
All right, Justin. I see, of course, every person we have on here, we do a little research on you, kind of learn a little bit about you before we get you on the show. I see about a month or two ago, you put out your new album, Made New. Is that right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Tell us a bit about what inspired you to write that album, kind of what was going through your head as you were creating that album, and just tell the viewers a little bit about it.
Yeah, the cool thing about that record, so probably the oldest song on that record is about 8 years old. And so the writing process, some of the songs were just, I mean, we wrote in the studio in the moment. And then like I said, one of those songs is 8 years old. So just trying to the best of my ability from a creative standpoint, trying to showcase who Justin is today rather than who Justin was 8 years ago. So like I really had to try to balance that well as far as like picking the correct songs. But um, it wasn't until June of 2021 where I felt like the direction, the whole vision for this record really, really came in like 2020 vision for me. And so the crazy thing is that like I'm usually playing a guitar and I'm usually behind the microphone telling stories about, you know, songs and all that stuff. Well, I got my start as a worship leader and I got invited to go lead worship at this church in Nevada. And a few weeks before I get there, um, the pastor calls me and he's like, "Hey, I need you to cover for me because there's a death in the family and I can't be there that Sunday that you're gonna be leading worship." And I was like, "Well, what do you need me to do?" He said, "I need you to preach." And I was like, "You need me to what?" Like, you take the guitar out of my hands. You guys ever seen Talladega Nights, where he's like Ricky Bobby? He's like, "I don't know what to do with my hands." He starts doing this number. He's like, so you take the guitar out of my hands. I don't know what to do with them, you know. But one thing that I really felt that I needed to do was tell my story about how whenever I was a teenager. So basically, my prodigal years as a teenager, I got into trouble. I found myself in a courtroom getting judged, and it's crazy how like my life isn't. It's become this full circle where kind of like I was lost, but now I'm found. And so I told that story uh, behind the pulpit on that Sunday. And I remember like we were about halfway through the creative process of this record. And I felt heavily in my heart that I was supposed to have an autobiographical album that told that story of my prodigal years where I had left my faith. I'd put God on the back burner. I'd done everything from, um, you know, getting into trouble with the law to jail time to just being completely hopeless at the end of my rope. And I want to tell that story and how um, now I'm on the other side of that. And so um, I had this collection of songs that I knew about half of them was not going to fit that story, and so I actually had to put like 5 or 6 songs on the back burner and write new material that kind of fit that vision, that message. And so that's kind of where the whole album came from. That's where the title track "Made New" came from because I'm a completely new person compared to what I was whenever I was growing up and getting into all kinds of trouble as a kid. So, um, yeah, man, that's kind of the inspiration behind it.
I actually really love how you're honest and open about, like the troubles you went through and getting out of it. And, you did what you had to do. Growing up as well, I was also a troublemaker. I never got caught though, so I didn't go to jail or anything like that. But I do love that you share that because we do have kids that watch this. And so my question for you would be, so the kids that really want to get into music and have a hard time getting into it and then they want to give up, what inspirational stuff could you tell them to make them keep going?
Um, I'm going to say something really, I hope it doesn't sound too cliche or too simple, but I'm going to encourage them not to give up because I can't tell you how many times that like I felt like giving up time and time again. The first song on the record is called Courage, and it takes courage to do, to pursue our dreams, to pursue our passions, to pursue what what's going to bring life and joy into our lives and other people's lives as well. So I think if we give up too soon, that I think it's going to be something that we regret later down the road. You just never know the people that you're going to reach with the music today. Like I just wrote a letter to an inmate at a prison because I led worship at this revival at this courthouse, and this lady came up to me. I shared my testimony. This lady came up to me. She was like, "My son's about the same age as you, and he's in prison. Would you write to him?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. I'll pray for him too." And so like writing letters to people now that like, I can't imagine like I can kind of imagine what's being in their shoes, giving up or making some bad decisions. Um, but man, if I can give any kind of encouragement, it is to not lose hope and just continue striving to make the right decisions day in and day out. Because I know, like you said, you were a troublemaker as well. And you never got caught. Like me, I was not a good criminal. Like I got caught. Like that. Whenever when the judge saw me, he was. I remember. I mean, even though this is now, let's see, 2004, so going on 20 years ago, I remember this judge looking me in the eye and he said, "Son, I've never seen you before. Like I'm looking for a record that doesn't exist because usually something that you did is something that like a repeat offender is doing. Like, tell me about yourself because I've never seen you before." And I started telling him, like, he started asking like how many siblings I had, if my parents are in the picture. He started asking all these questions, and that I wanted to write a song. Like I have a song on the record called Mercy, and I'll never forget how much mercy that judge had on me that day and how much mercy is new every morning that comes from my heavenly Father above, my God. Mercies that are new every morning. And I just wanted to write a song about that. So I think it's important to receive that mercy, but I think it's also important to share that mercy with others as well.
I agree with that, and I think that's awesome. And like I said, I love how real you are about your past and stuff because we don't get that very often, And it's easy to relate with you. Like your songs, I wrote and I was like, wow, like I was in like 30 seconds of your song and I was like, this is absolutely amazing. And I like brought it to them right away. And like, it's so easy to relate to your music. And I love that because normally I'm like a hard rock metal girl. And I was like, wow, this like totally turned my head and I loved it. And
Yeah, I actually I was actually in a I don't know, you can probably get a little bit of like rock vibe from my voice, just a little bit. I used to be in a rock band. Used to be in a rock band back in the day, like 2010, 2000, just 2015-ish, 16. I was in a rock band. So like I would let the hair down and we would headbang. We got the electric guitars and loud drums and all that stuff. But
would you ever
I really
rock again?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I mean, whenever I got my full band with me, I leave all the guitar solos to my electric guitarist. So he's doing all that stuff. So like I usually am, rocking the acoustic and I let the hair down every so often, but not as heavy as I once was. And plus, like my lower back isn't like it once was. Okay, let's get real. Like we're all getting older. That. And and if I start
know how you
rocking
feel.
like I used to, I'm gonna be going to the chiropractor every day a week.
Well, Justin, man, I absolutely love that. It's so nice to hear something positive. I really appreciate how you took the initiative to go ahead and turn yourself around and then, make positive music from it, be an inspiration and a good example for, other people and what that you need to do, keeping everything going. And like you said, man, having the courage to stand behind what you want to do, you know what I'm saying? Follow that musical dream, make it happen because that's the key, because that's the difference. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt. Everybody be doing it if it was easy.
Exactly. So just that initiative to keep going, that drive, that's really awesome, man. And I personally really appreciate hearing that from another person, that just keeps it moving, man. That is really awesome. That is really
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
awesome. Well, look, my guy, I really appreciate you spending this time with us today and letting us and the
Absolutely.
Ryze family getting to know you just a little bit better. And we're definitely going to be keeping up with you. And our Ryze
Thank you.
fam, for all of you out there, make sure you check out Justin Gambino. We're going to have links to his album, Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify. We'll have all that down there in the description for you to make sure that you follow. Make sure you show him some love. If you're into positive music, if you're into inspirational things, make sure you check them out. And we are so very happy that we had this chance to bring them to you. So, like we always say when we leave this piece, y'all keep it positive, y'all keep it moving, continue to rise, and we will check you out later next week. Take it easy.